And I'd like to welcome you all to our travel edition of the Lunch Club, where for the month of September, we've been looking at different oceans. So we take a look at the Arctic, the Southern, the Indian and Atlantic Ocean. And today we'll be looking at the world's largest ocean, the Pacific Ocean. So Lou, thank you so much for hosting, and please take it away.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for joining today. Always excited to be here and be part of the team that presents. And I'm so grateful for all of you and the time that we have together. Yeah, I'm a little flustered today. Boy, trying to handle some back office logistics gets really challenging sometimes. But we will persevere. All right, so let's talk a bit about the Pacific Ocean. I sure love the Pacific Ocean. So let's talk about the geography, its islands, its history, and a little bit of trivia. Such a vast, vast area it covers. Really quite amazing. All right, well, let's start off, folks, by trying to figure out why is the Pacific Ocean so important? So, Alex, if you could take it away.
The Pacific Ocean is the largest and deepest ocean on Earth. It covers more than 30% of the planet's surface, and in fact, the Pacific is even larger than the combined landmass covering the entire Earth. Not only is the Pacific huge, but it is also the deepest. The Mariana Trench, located in the Pacific Ocean, is the deepest trench known on Earth.
You know about the Mariana Trench. We'll be taking a look at it later on as well. Challenger Deep. You see Guam, Taiwan, Philippines. So when you think Mariana Trench, you think those three countries.
And has several deep points. Furthermore, the Pacific is also considered one of the most dangerous places on the planet. Around 90% of the world's earthquakes and approximately 75% of the world's volcanoes occur within this region. Additionally, the Pacific Ocean is home to most of the islands in the world. Some of these islands serve as strategic locations for military bases. These bases often play a critical role in monitoring and controlling major maritime trade routes that pass through the Pacific. In this video, we will explore all of these factors that make the Pacific Ocean one of the most important and influential places on Earth. Geographically, the Pacific Ocean serves
And doesn't that just look huge anyway? Look at all those little islands.
as a natural boundary, separating the continents of Asia and Australia from the Americas. The Pacific is incredibly vast, reaching its maximum east-west width of approximately 19,800 kilometers from Indonesia to the coast of Colombia. To put this in perspective, this distance is not only halfway around the world, but also surpasses more than 5 times the diameter of the Moon. The Pacific Ocean
South America to Indonesia, that distance is about half of the diameter of the Earth. How amazing is that?
is not only vast, but it is also incredibly deep, with an average depth of around 4,000 meters. This makes it one of the deepest oceans on Earth. Within this vast expanse, you can find some of the deepest points on the planet's surface. One such point is the Mariana Trench, located in the northwestern Pacific. It holds the record for the deepest known point on Earth. This trench is home to the Challenger Deep, which plunges to an astonishing depth of 10,928 meters. In the southern hemisphere, you will find the Horizon Deep, which reaches a depth of 10,823 meters.
Have any of you heard of the Horizon Deep before? Tonga Trench? I've never heard of it.
No, new to me.
Horizon Deep, Tonga Trench. Wow.
These trenches highlight the incredible diversity and depth within the Pacific Ocean, housing some of the deepest spots known to humankind. The Pacific Ocean contains most of the world's islands, totaling about 25,000 spread across its waters.
Don't forget that Pacific Island has over 25,000 islands. That's a big number, right?
I bet 90% are drop dead gorgeous too.
Mhm.
Palm trees, sandy beaches.
These islands are grouped into 3 main
Everything.
categories:
The South
Micronesia,
Sea.
Oh,
Melanesia, and Polynesia.
oh, well, now you know. This is a very interesting visual. Micronesia, Melanesia. Never heard of these two, but I've heard of Polynesia, so that makes sense. Micro, Mela, Poly.
Micronesia consists of roughly 2,000 small islands situated
Solomon Islands, Marshall Islands, Tonga. Oh, look, there's French Polynesia. We did a session on them before, right, Lou? There's
Oh
Bora
yeah,
Bora,
yeah. We talked about a lot of these places.
Bora Bora, Fiji is right here. Samoa, we talked about Samoa. Wow, I bet they are beautiful. Look, there's the Coral Sea right here.
in the northwestern Pacific Ocean. To the southwest of Micronesia is Melanesia, incorporating New Guinea, the second largest island globally after Greenland.
Yep, we learned about Greenland last week. So the second largest island is New Guinea in the world.
And the largest in the Pacific. Polynesia, covering the largest area among the three groups, stretches from Hawaii in the north to New Zealand in the south. The Pacific Ocean is not only vast and deep, but it is also an incredibly challenging location on our planet. The region surrounding the Pacific Ocean, known as the Pacific Rim, is highly active with numerous volcanoes and earthquakes. In fact, it is referred to as the Ring of Fire, as approximately
Ring of Fire. I've heard of that term before.
90% of the world's earthquakes and around 75% of the world's volcanoes occur within this area. The reason behind this geological activity is the constant movement of the Pacific Plate, which is a massive portion of the Earth's surface. It collides with or slides against other plates around it. As these plates shift, they generate significant shaking, resulting in earthquakes. Occasionally, these earthquakes occur beneath the ocean, triggering tsunamis, powerful waves that travel across the ocean. When these tsunamis reach land, they can cause catastrophic destruction. Before Europeans arrived in the 16th century, native islanders had already been living in the Pacific region for a significant amount of time. They had their own way of life, with different cultures and communities on different islands in the region. The European exploration of the Pacific began with Ferdinand Magellan's voyages in the early 1520s. He was a Portuguese explorer who sailed under the Spanish expeditions. His journey helped Europeans understand and mapping of the Pacific region. However, the exploration and significant discoveries in the Pacific didn't fully take off until the 18th century. During this time, the British and the French were the most active in exploring and discovering new islands and territories in the Pacific. They undertook various expeditions, mapping out the region, establishing colonies, and documenting the cultures and resources they encountered. Underneath the Pacific Ocean, there are specific locations where valuable metals, such as copper and nickel, can be found. These metals exist in various forms, including lumps, crusts, and fragments of metallic material. Certain areas, such as the Galapagos Islands, specific ridges in the northeastern part of the Pacific, as well as the East China Sea and off the coast of New Guinea, possess unique hydrothermal vents. These vents give rise to a distinct type of rock that is rich in metals, and over an extensive period of time, these deposits accumulate. Although the Pacific Ocean may not have as much oil and gas as other regions, there are still significant reserves in some areas. Countries surrounding the Pacific, such as Russia, Canada, the United States, and certain Southeast Asian nations engage in offshore drilling to extract oil and gas from their coastal waters. Therefore, while these resources may not be abundant everywhere, there are specific locations where they are extracted from beneath the ocean's surface. The Pacific Ocean hosts some of the globe's most critical trade routes. Its vast expanse connects various regions and countries, facilitating the movement of goods, resources, and commodities between different parts of the world. The Trans-Pacific Route connects the western coast of North America, particularly ports in the United States, with East Asia, including countries such as China, Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. It's one of the busiest trade routes globally, facilitating the transportation of goods, raw materials, and manufactured products between these major economic regions. There are also numerous military bases strategically positioned across the vast Pacific Ocean region to maintain security, project power, and support military operations. Some of the key military bases include Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, which is one of the most iconic military bases globally for the United States. Guam, a U.S. territory in the Western Pacific, hosts several military installations, including Andersen Air Force Base and Naval Base Guam. U.S. Naval Base hosts several military installations, including Andersen Air Force Base and Naval Base Guam. Yokosuka and Okinawa, which hosts a major U.S. naval base in Japan.
Any thoughts on the video? We learned about some geography, like these different islands and the areas in the Pacific. We looked at some history and some of the peoples that were there, and we looked at the different economy and resources and trade routes that occur in the Pacific Ocean. Any thoughts?
I have a thought. They consider that island just above Australia. What is that called right there? They consider that, that one. They
Yeah, that's
consider
New
that
Guinea.
one
That's
as
New Guinea.
New Guinea. They
Mhm.
consider that as an island.
Yeah,
But
the
if you
world's
look
second
at-
largest island.
Yeah, but it doesn't. Okay, but looking at Australia, Australia looks like an island too.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a country can be an island.
Yeah, they don't consider Australia the second largest to Greenland. They consider New Guinea. That makes no sense to me logically.
Well, well,
I'm not a geologist, but you know, I just going based off of based off the video.
was like, well,
Well, you know, if you look at that map and you see the Pacific Ocean and you see Hawaii, see how small it is compared to the other islands. It's like a dot in the ocean.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hawaii is a dot.
Yes, a dot in the ocean. It's so tiny, but I mean, it's really not tiny, but it looks so small compared to everything else in the
Yeah,
ocean.
So technically, Australia is not an island. It is considered a
a
continent.
continent.
But yes,
But
I
why-
mean, yeah, it's technically considered a continent, but it
is on the
Yeah, but
looks
it's
like
not
it.
connected to another mass of land. So
Well, it's based on its size. So even yes, it's just based. It's because it's based on its size. So it's not showing it here, but Greenland is the first largest island, and then New Guinea right here is the second largest island.
I wonder why they didn't make Greenland a continent as well, because Greenland
Not big enough for a continent.
is bigger than Australia.
Well, a lot of that is distortion from the map, though.
Yeah.
If someone
Yeah.
wants to if
Look.
you want to Google like the area of it, I bet Australia's a lot bigger than Greenland, because the map gets distorted at the poles.
Of course, Australia is a whole continent, and you know, a continent is going to be bigger than an island. So you just kind of have to think like that. But I hear what you're saying, Bridget. I you know, based off the video, I see.
Yeah,
what-
I'm looking at it visually.
Hey,
All
hey
right.
guys, before we get into that though, I got some interesting trivia. I just got to mention it. I just got to do it. So we learned about how massive and big the Pacific Ocean is, right? But let me ask you all a question. If you think of the total volume of the Earth itself, this round sphere, what percentage of the Earth do you think is water?
3/4.
I'll say about
About
3/4.
2/4, yeah.
Three quarters of the Earth is think of the
75.
volume of the Earth. It's a ball, right? And that
Mhm.
ball has a volume to it. Like what percentage of that ball is water?
It's more water on Earth than it is
75%.
land.
About
Okay, you
75.
ready for the answer?
90%.
The answer is 0.02%.
What?
What?
2/10,000ths of the Earth is water. 2/10,000ths.
Yeah,
The rest of it is
visually,
rock.
that doesn't make sense either.
No, it
visually.
makes total sense because the water is only on the surface. The rest of the Earth is made out of rock and metal and lava and all that.
Oh, they talking about underneath the surface.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the whole
the Earth's
volume
water
of the sphere.
content. Yeah,
Okay.
it's
This is
very
what I'm
small.
what I'm trying to get to is how thin this little skin of water is. Even though we think it's so big,
Big.
it's just
Yeah.
a little skin of water. And then one more question. One more question. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
Okay, so think of an egg, right? Think of the volume of the egg. You got the shell on the outside,
Okay.
and then you got the yolk and the rest of the stuff on the inside, right?
Uh-huh.
So do you think the oceans are similar in thickness to the eggshell of an egg?
Yeah,
Uh,
because the surface is on the surface.
Yeah, so the eggshell is only on the surface, and the volume of the egg is on the inside, right?
Right.
right.
Okay, are you ready for this
Yes.
fact?
Do
The
it.
ocean, the thickness of the ocean as compared to the thickness of the shell of an egg, the ocean is 450 times thinner than the
Wow.
thickness of an eggshell.
Oh my God.
Wow. So we're skating on thin ice.
Nice.
But yes,
It's just
because
this little skinny little thin layer on top of this rock ball.
yeah,
Mhm.
Yeah,
that's
we're on thin
basically
ice.
what the Earth is. It counts for 71% of the Earth's surface is covered by water, but only about 0.13% of the total mass of the Earth comes from the water. So it's mass versus volume and spread. So great
And you can
facts, Lou.
see
Thank
why
you
they
so much.
say that the water that's on the Earth may have come from asteroids, which are made of ice. What are they called? Certain comets that are made of ice colliding with the Earth, because it's just
Mhm.
a little thin surface that's got water. The rest of it's rock.
Right. It's still deep though. We'll learn about the trench, but compared to the entire Earth, it's very small. So that's a perfect example. I never thought of the oceans or the water on Earth as an eggshell. So I will always remember that.
Yeah,
And
that is a
450
Yeah.
times thinner than the shell of an egg.
So
yeah. We
please
have to be
I have
careful.
some information here, Lou. So please when you get
Yes, okay, let's get back to it. So, folks, the Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean on Earth, covering approximately 182 million square kilometers, which is more than double the size of the next largest ocean, the Atlantic. It spans from Antarctica to the south to the Bering Strait, separating North America from Asia, and stretches from the western coast of Colombia to the Malay Peninsula in Asia, with a mean depth of, wow, that's pretty deep, 4,000 meters. That's about, what, 16,000 feet deep average. My gosh, that's 3 miles deep on average. The maximum depth of 11,000 meters, or like 33,000 feet, that's as deep as an airplane flies high. Is characterized by vast underwater plains and significant geological features, including numerous trenches and volcanic islands. That is so amazing, folks.
That's why the blue whales live there.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
go on to here. I thought this portion was very interesting. Origins and divisions.
So the Pacific Ocean is the present day remnant. Oh, I didn't know that. Of the world ocean called, oh, I've never heard that name.
Panther,
Panthalassa. Well,
never
if I
heard of
had a
it either.
daughter, I'd name her Panthalassa. And has been evolving into a present state of 200 million years since a single landmass called Pangaea began to split apart through tectonic action. Through continental drift over the intervening millions of years, the landmass divided into several smaller fragments of present-day continents. As the spaces between the continental segments became larger, they filled the water and surrounded them. Through eons, formed various oceans and seas that encompass the planet's surface. I never heard of that name of the single ocean.
Yeah, the world ocean.
Panthalassa.
Yeah, we're probably going to talk about it next week.
I
So,
like that name. I'm gonna have my
well, look,
granddaughter named
that sounds like
Panthalassa.
Pantheon. That sounds like Pantheon. We know what pantheons were. So, that name is very interesting.
Are you planning names for your grandchildren?
Oh,
Oh yeah, yep. I got 3 kids. Hopefully got some grandkids coming.
this makes sense right here.
Well, you go because I only have one
Yeah.
child biological, and I've got 8 grandchildren, great grand.
Really? You got
Yeah,
one? Is that Ann? You got one biological child and 8 grandchildren?
Four grandchildren and 8 great grands.
Wow. So your one biological child had 4 children?
Well, he adopted 2 of them that were hers and 2 of his.
Oh, that's wonderful. And how old are they, Ann?
Oh my God, 14 to 9 months.
Oh, so they're still young.
Mm-hmm.
You
My,
got to catch up.
my only grandchild turns 1 in 1 month.
That's nice. I remember Lou. Yeah, that's amazing.
You
All
got
right,
to
so
play
Pacific
catch
Ocean
up,
is
man.
so large that it's difficult to discuss it
Not
as a single
trying to,
ocean.
Sandra.
Various parts of it are substantially different than other parts. For discussion purposes, the Pacific is usually thought of as comprising 3 distinct regions. The western region begins in Alaska's Western Aleutian Trench and extends through the Carroll and Japanese trenches and runs south to the Tonga and Karamek trenches and continues on to the east northwest to the New Zealand's North Island. This region is characterized by large strings of islands, the largest constituting Japan, New Guinea, New Zealand, and the Philippines. Some of these strings, notably Japan, New Guinea, and New Zealand, were, through time, sheared off the continent by tectonic movements. The entire Western Pacific is also dotted with volcanic islands, which are the peaks of high underwater mountains. These were formed as molten rock from successive volcanic eruptions, cooled and solidified. So that whole area, I think, is the Ring of Fire, right? With all kinds of volcanic activity,
Yeah,
as it was described.
I love this article right here. It just has a lot of great information because even not going through the whole thing, but the currents. Have you ever heard of something called gyres or gyre?
No, let's read about this, Alex. So, like the Atlantic, the Pacific has 2 large systems called gyres. That's like a hero sandwich. Gyro. The northern gyro moves in a westerly direction from near the equator, and its surface ocean current that carries warm surface water into the Kuroshio current, giving Japan moderately warm temperatures. The Kuroshio current then moves northeast away from the Kamchatka current, which brings cold water from the area around the Bering Sea. Part of it derives moving north to the North Pacific Drift. The other part heads southeast. So it sounds very much like the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, what we learned last year, and not last year, last week, and how it moved up, I guess, to north. It moved northeast, but this one it says it moves in westerly direction. But then
let me read the paragraph below, though, because that pertains to the U.S. So off the west coast of North America, part of the North American Drift moves north and becomes the Alaska Current. It brings into the Alaskan waters warm enough to keep its shoreline and harbors from freezing in the winter. Another part of the North American Drift veers south and forms the California Current, whose waters are cooled as they flow south to join the North Equatorial Current, which again flows west, completing its clockwise motion. A reason I was curious, I used to live in LA, and I was always surprised how cold the Pacific Ocean is off of LA. And now I know why.
Yeah, remember we learned about the North Equatorial Current. We did that in the trivia last week. So it is it is a steady circular motion of the currents. So that's really interesting.
And same thing in Seattle and Washington State. The water was of course, I expected that to be cold because it's so far north, but still, it's so cold. We're very blessed to live where we live, by the way, on the Atlantic Ocean, because it's so warm, right? I mean, off of Ocean City, that water is nice and toasty. When I lived in Seattle, the water's just for looking at. You can't go in it. It's just all of it's too cold. The rivers are too cold. The lakes are too cold. The ocean's too cold. But it's nice to look at. Here, you can just jump in everything, right? The rivers, the lakes, the ocean. You just jump right in.
Sure.
Jump in everything.
All right, Alex, let's cue it up here. How deep is the ocean?
The general video, but you know, we learned about the Marianas Trench, so we're gonna learn more about it. This is a very visual video, so keep your eyes peeled, folks. It's gonna be an interesting one.
Just how deep does the ocean go? If you took the highest point on land and submerged it, you would still have more than a mile between you and the deepest point in the oceans. The oceans harbor 99% of all living space on Earth and have enough water to fill a bathtub that's
Y'all go have some
685
fun and
miles
hit one of
long
them big
on
jackpots.
each side. For scale, here's a human, and here's a blue whale, the largest animal on Earth. Blue whales usually hunt at depths of around 330 feet within the well-lit zone of the ocean. Deeper down, at 700 feet, the USS Triton became the first submarine to circumnavigate the Earth in 1960. At 831 feet, we reached the deepest free dive in recorded history.
Can you imagine swimming 800 feet below water?
I
What is-
can't.
what is-
I
what is-
can't even imagine 8 inches.
Someone did. Someone did. That's amazing.
What is a
You
free
reached-
dive? What does that mean? With a can?
Look, like the picture, there's no
Oh, you can't dive with a snorkel and mask. You can't dive that far.
Free
recorded
dive.
history. Down here, the pressure is 26 times greater than at the surface, which would crush most human lungs. But whales manage it, diving to a max depth of 1,640 feet where they hunt giant squid. At 2,400 feet, we reach the danger zone for modern nuclear attack submarines. Any deeper, and the submarine's hull would implode. 2,722 feet down is where the tip of the world's tallest building,
Yep, the Burj Khalifa. Wow. So can you believe 2,700 feet?
That's
the Burj
nothing. It's
Khalifa.
nothing compared to the depth of the ocean.
Mm-hmm. So like we have lots of ways up.
the Burj Khalifa would reach. A little farther, at 3,280 feet, we're deep enough that sunlight can't reach us. We've now entered the midnight zone. Many animals down here can't see, like these
I used to
eyeless
watch The
shrimp at
Midnight Zone when I was a kid
7,500
with
feet.
Rod Serling, remember that show?
Mm,
Yeah.
7,500 feet. Eyeless shrimp. Look at those things.
Wow.
Who thrive near scalding hot underwater volcanoes. At this depth, temperatures are just a few degrees above freezing, but the waters around hydrothermal vents can heat up to 800 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh my
9,000
God.
That's because water has a high specific heat capacity. It takes a lot of energy to warm water, so that's why things like that can happen, where the water can be 33 degrees Fahrenheit at one point and 800 degrees at another point.
But I think there's a more important fact, Alex, and that's that if water gets over 212 degrees here on the surface, it boils into a gas.
Mm-hmm.
It stays as a liquid in the water under those depths because there's so much pressure. It can't expand into a gas.
Yeah, it's called like Boyle's Law, or
Yeah, right. Yo, you remember your high school science.
yeah. So all of the pressure versus volume versus temperature. So it has a lot to do with that as well.
But think if you're in a submarine near one of those vents, right? Because you're looking at the water thinking, okay, it's cold water, but all of a sudden it hits 800 degrees and it warms your hull to 800 degrees. I mean, that would crack the hull, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
that's
done.
crazy impact on a metallic surface.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff here. Okay.
And you couldn't see it, right? You can't tell. You can't tell.
No,
how
because
hot
at
it
this
is.
point there's no, at this point here, right here, there's no light. You can't even see around you. So
I bet those submarine pilots had to be really careful about these volcanic vents because they have no idea how hot that water is.
Sure.
816 feet is the deepest any mammal has been recorded swimming.
I've never heard of Cuvier beaked whale. Cuvier beaked whale.
The Cuvier beaked whale. But not even the Cuvier beaked whale could explore the RMS Titanic, which rests at a staggering depth of 12,500 feet.
That's where the Titanic is at, almost 13,000 feet below the surface.
The
Remember that
pressure
story
is
about
now
that crazy guy from Seattle with two
378
people
times
there?
greater than at the surface. Yet you can still find sea life like the fangtooth, hagfish, and Dumbo octopus, the deepest living octopus on Earth. At 20,000 feet is the Hadal Zone, an area designated for the ocean's deepest trenches, like the Mariana Trench. If you tipped Mount Everest into the Mariana Trench, its summit would reach down to 29,029 feet. That still doesn't compare to the 2 deepest crewed missions in history. In 2012, director James Cameron descended to 35,756 feet for the Deep Sea Challenger mission. But Cameron didn't quite break the record, which was set by oceanographer Jacques Piccard and Lieutenant Don Walsh in 1960. Piccard and Walsh descended to the lowest point on Earth, Challenger Deep, at a record 35,797 feet below the surface.
Can you believe humans did that? I mean, we're amazing creatures.
Why
Since
didn't
then,
James
scientists
Cameron
have
go a
sent-
little deeper? That to make the record, I don't understand that.
Who knows?
Half a dozen unmanned submersibles to explore Challenger Deep, including Kaiko, which collected over 350 species off the seafloor between 1995 and 2003. But scientists estimate there are potentially thousands of marine species we have yet to discover. Humans have explored an estimated 5 to 10% of Earth's oceans. We've only just begun to understand the deep, dark world that flows beneath us.
Wow, that was great.
Again, any thoughts on this video, seniors? Again, while I play with no sound in the back, any thoughts? But again, humans are amazing. We've reached 36,000 feet under the surface before. It just goes to show you can do anything you put your mind to, right?
You know what I was thinking of? I mean, we think about the incredible pressures of water, right? When it's so deep. But also think about the incredible pressures of rock. Like if the oceans are is 450 times thinner than an eggshell, imagine the pressures of rock when you get so deep that rock almost becomes like a fluid, like a plastic fluid. You know what I mean? The pressures like really deep in Earth have got to be absolutely astounding, which is why rock becomes lava or magma. You know, it's the pressures are so great it just turns it into a plastic. Then it turns rock into a liquid.
Well,
Anybody got family that were miners? Anybody got miners on the call?
no, but I'm a swimmer, and when you go 10 feet deep in the swimming pool, that's mainly why they only have pools as deep as 12 feet, but 10 feet deep, you can bust your eardrum.
Yeah.
I mean,
My ancestors were copper miners in Michigan from Finland, and they would go down, way down. This is back in the turn of last century, in the late 1800s. And the stories were how hot it is down there. You know, they'd be sweating up a storm. They couldn't be down there too long because it was so hot.
all right, but this is, in water, it's a whole different ball game. So
I wonder why the water doesn't get hot. Like, you know what I mean? Like
It's
the
the
earth to
specific
go deep, it gets
capacity.
hot.
Again, it takes so much energy just to heat up 1 gram of water. It takes a lot of energy, so that's why it takes a long time for it to kind of heat up throughout
Yeah,
the
you
day.
know how long it take a pot to boil.
Yeah, it takes a while. Even if it may not be a lot of water, it still takes quite a bit of energy just to boil some water.
And maybe that's why the oceans aren't all, just all messed up real deep, because maybe there's a vertical current too. We're talking about horizontal currents. Maybe there's a vertical current where the heat of the earth deep down is warming the water, and then it's moving upward, because warm water tends to go to the surface.
Yeah,
I have no scientific proof of that, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, again, I hope you all enjoyed that video. It felt like I was 36,000 under the sea, but I was not. So let's take a look at the Mariana Trench. What would a trip there look like?
All right, let's do it.
Hey, have you ever wanted to take a dive into the deepest parts of the ocean? Well, today, you're going to have this opportunity. Now, how good are you at holding your breath? Not that good? Well, not to worry. Hop aboard my submersible craft and join me in the voyage to the depths. Ready? Ooh, let's dive. Right now, just below the surface, you see that life is thriving here. Fish and marine animals abound, and hey there, swimmers are waving at us. But we won't be staying here for long. Bye-bye. At 65 feet, there's a whole new world opening before your eyes. Shallow coral reefs are standing beautifully not far from the shore. And hey, there are people here again. It's scuba divers this time, though. Water pressure isn't kind to divers.
So scuba divers typically go 65 to 130 feet down. That's still long. That's still really long way down for scuba
And they
diving.
got to come up really slow or they get the bends.
Yeah.
bends.
Water
Without
pressure.
special equipment. 130 feet is the depths where we say goodbye even to recreational scuba divers. It's the maximum allowed for them. Take care, guys. 200 feet, and here's the first orca. These whales inhabit the relatively shallow waters of almost every sea and ocean in the world. Did you know that they're the apex predators, by the way? It means they have no natural enemies, and no one can take them down.
Oh, well, if I was an animal, I'd want to be an orca.
That would be a good animal to
At
be, wouldn't it?
230 feet,
Well, you don't have any, no enemies, so you can live freely.
As long
we
as you're
meet
not in
whale
SeaWorld.
sharks, the largest known fish species, weighing up to 60 tons. And they're also quite long livers. Well, yeah, I guess their livers are long at that, but actually it's about their life expectancy. They can live about 130 years. Now, look outside. If you're a scuba diver, it's a real pro. Because at 330 feet, they'll have to be very cautious not to get decompression sickness. It occurs if you rise too quickly to the surface. And if you're lucky, you can also see a giant Pacific octopus. It dwells in cool water starting this deep and going down as far as 6,600 feet. And now, we're entering the dark part of the ocean. At 490 feet, just 1% of the light from the surface reaches us. All the rest is absorbed by water. Everything that's deeper will get darker and darker still. Oh look! At about 660 feet, there's a giant oarfish circling our submersible.
I've never heard of oarfish before.
These creatures are believed to be the source of all sea serpent sightings and also a lot of alliteration. Sometimes they swim up to the surface and freak out sailors and swimmers. No wonder. These fish can reach 36 feet in length, enough to scare the heck out of me, for example. Okay, now we're at 980 feet. And wait, what's that huge and gangling thing out there? Oh, I get it. It's a Japanese spider crab. Why a spider, you ask? Well, just look at those legs and the answer will come to you without further prompts. By the way, there's almost nothing more to them than legs. The body of such a crab is normally just 1.5 feet across. Going deeper now, and at 1,640 feet, you're going to see the last of the blue whales. No, not really the last of them. I mean, that's the deepest they can swim. They don't really need to dive that deep for food, which they have in abundance in shallower waters, but they still can. I guess it's just for the sake of showing how awesome they are. After all, they're the largest creatures in the history of Earth, both in the sea and on land. Shh! You hear this? These are the sounds fin whales are making to talk to their friends many miles away. They can do this thanks to the SOFAR channel, or deep sea channel, that generally starts at 1,970 feet, but can vary in depth. It's a layer of water where the speed of sound is at its minimum and sound waves can go thousands of miles before disappearing.
Oh, that's a cool fact. The speed of the sound is at its, what did it say, minimum or maximum, and that way you can, the waves travel so far. How amazing.
At the depth of 2,723 feet, we have reached the point where the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, would not even show its tip on the surface if it were put underwater. Now we're entering the really interesting part of the ocean, where no sunlight reaches us and strange creatures dwell. One of those is the giant squid, Yes, that legendary type. It inhabits the depths of 2,950 feet. Just imagine the creature with eyes the size of frisbees. Sperm whales hunt down these beasts, but they certainly can fight back. What a sight it would be to see such an encounter. And that's where pitch darkness finally falls on us, the midnight zone. The pressure here is so huge that if you somehow end up being here without a submersible, well, you'll simply be crushed in a couple of seconds. And that without seeing a thing too. Not the best of prospects. Anyway, at 3,600 feet, there's West Mata, one of the deepest ocean volcanoes in the world.
Oh, have you heard of that, Lou? West Mata?
Never.
Never heard of it.
I've heard of Wamata.
Oh.
Its last eruption was in 2009, and it was even filmed by a remotely operated vehicle. 4,200 feet down below, and we see the ferocious great white sharks. These ultimate predators feel great at such a depth. Their eyesight is rather poor, and they navigate by scent, so they really don't need sunlight to hunt down their prey. I don't see you, but I'll still eat you. Also, the leatherback turtles, the largest turtles in the world, dive at the same depth.
Can you imagine just turtles being down this far?
Turtles don't have gills. I mean, they have to hold their breath.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's amazing. They can swim that deep.
Never knew turtles were this far down in the ocean.
I never knew great white sharks went that deep.
I wonder if they do it to tease the great whites. Oh, see those huge nets? That's because we're now at the depth of 4,900 feet, where the catch-all fishing method is used. The nets are here to be dragged along the ocean floor, catching everything unfortunate enough to be caught. I'll let you decide how detrimental this is to the ocean life here. At 6,000 feet, if we were in the Grand Canyon, we'd be sitting at its lowest and deepest point.
Oh, I wouldn't want to be right there. That would be kind of scary.
Imagine that all the crevasses have been thoroughly filled with water, and you'll get the perfect picture. Now, if we're really careful, then at the depth of 6,600 feet, we'll be able to see the black dragonfish, a nightmarish creature that dwells in the deep and dark parts of the ocean. And trust me, it's better off staying right here. It looks like something from a horror movie, and I'd rather it never cross my path. At 7,400 feet, we'll be saying goodbye to sperm whales. This is the deepest point they can dive, and frankly, they have no real business at such a depth. Maybe they hunt the black dragonfish, of course, or it hunts them? Nah, the difference in size is too big. Sperm whales can reach 62 feet in length, which makes them the largest toothed whales in the world. Not many
Toothed whales. I never thought of whales like that.
creatures can counter that. It's good that our submersible has a powerful floodlight. Without it, we wouldn't have been able to see the astonishing beauty of the deep-sea coral reefs located at the depth of 9,900 feet. They can be found in every ocean, and it's a pity they can't be seen without special deep-sea diving equipment. Okay, going deeper still, and at 12,100 feet, we reach the average depth of the world ocean. From now on, the journey into the real depths begins. The general ocean floor has been passed, so now it's time to delve into the abyss. I won't tell you not to be afraid because the scariest creatures of the deep dwell here, below the midnight zone. And it doesn't end there. The pressure on the upper limit of the abyss, at 13,100 feet, is like a whole regiment of elephants stomping on you. Not that you'd have the time to feel it, though. Now, at 15,000 feet, the monsters out of your worst nightmares pop up. Anglerfish, for example, will scare the heck out of anyone. Its
Those are some scary fish.
long and crooked teeth, along with a growth on its head that lures the prey, is enough to instill fear even in the bravest. But perhaps even more terrible is the creature called the black swallower. It's an eel-like beast that has a very stretchy stomach, and it can swallow prey that's twice its size. I don't know about you, but I'd rather switch off the lights not to see anything this deep in the ocean. What? You want to see it all? All right, if you insist. Look down below, and you're going to see the deepest shipwreck ever found. SS Rio Grande in the South Atlantic sunk in 1941 and went as low as 18,900 feet. No
Wow.
wonder it was only found 55 years later. And now the deepest and darkest part of the ocean begins. We're diving into the Mariana Trench. Officially, it begins at about 19,700 feet deep. It's both the least explored and the most fascinating area for the scientists and adventurers alike. What lies at the bottom of it? Well, we're about to see, but while we're not there yet, I'll show you something else. For example, here's the deepest fish ever found. It's called a snailfish, and it dwells at 26,000 feet. Its body is translucent, so you can actually see right through its skin. Well, I must say I'm glad we didn't turn off the lights after all. This little guy is surprisingly cute for a creature that can withstand such pressure. Going lower and deeper, you won't see any other kind of fish or vertebrate animal whatsoever. The pressure is just too much for such creatures. But there are shrimps and other invertebrates, not to mention microbes, that can dwell even in the deepest part of the ocean. And that part is the Challenger Deep. It's the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and its depth is 35,853 feet. Yes, we've arrived at the very bottom of the Earth. Few people have been here, and very little is known about it yet. But scientists aren't going to stop, and there's hope we'll soon find out what secrets the depths of the ocean hold. Hey, if you learned something, Challenger.
Challenger Deep, Mariana Trench, 35,000 feet under the surface.
Mm.
Do y'all like seeing the fish, and you're surprised by what lives in what area, and just how things can survive down here, and that we've actually visited this place before as human beings.
Yeah, I
That
think it's
fish
easy
with the-
for us to grasp how deep that is, because that's almost exactly how high a jetliner flies. Up.
Mm-hmm.
It's so deep, and when you think the plane is so high, so if you imagine like here, it's just amazing.
Well, that fish with the teeth was scary.
Yeah, the angler fish.
Yeah,
Yes. the
That was a
anglerfish.
scary thing. And that little thing that looked like a snake with a head on it.
Yeah, it said the black swallower, and that was a scary looking fish.
That really was scary looking thing too.
So yes, I hope you all enjoy. That was really interesting. Just to see, we talked about the highest buildings in the world. Now we've talked about some of the lowest places on Earth. This is what's going on in 2025, Lou, and we have a short video as well.
All right, well, I'll go quick. The Pacific Ocean is
Heat wave.
experiencing a significant marine heat wave called the blob of warm water, contributing to record-breaking weather in Japan and impacts on the west coast of the U.S. Well, let's learn about the blob, Alex. I think I saw that movie. Oh, while neutral conditions are expected to persist, there's a chance that La Nina in the fall or early winter oceanographic events include predicted eruption of axial seamount, don't know where that is, which will not affect land, and extensive research efforts like the Ocean Cleanup Great Pacific Garbage Patch Expedition. That is fascinating, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Y'all hear about that? It's like the size of New Jersey, a giant floating garbage patch.
Garbage, trash, bags, like it's really so sad.
It's
Do you
too
have any
much.
videos on the trash stuff, Alex? I'd love to see what that looks like.
There's definitely
You can
some
Google
videos,
Earth
yeah.
it and see it floating around.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you Google? What do you search for?
It's called Google Earth.
No, we've used Google Earth, Lou, like maps.
No. But what do you enter into the Google Earth rather than just scanning the ocean? Can you enter like a name like trash blob or something?
Yeah, probably because they had those little ducks floating around at one time.
Oh, I bet a lot of that, by the way, came from that Japan earthquake in 2011 that just wiped out the whole coast and sucked all that buildings and debris and cars out of the ocean. All right, anyway. So a massive marine heat wave or blob of warm water is currently stretching across the entire North Pacific from Japan to the U.S. West Coast. This exceptionally warm water is significantly influenced by human-caused global warming. The heat wave contributed to Japan's hottest summer on record and could lead to increased humidity and enhanced atmospheric rivers in Northern California. And so the axial seamount is the underwater volcano off the Oregon coast. I didn't know about that. It's predicted to erupt in 2025. This eruption will only reshape the seafloor and is unlikely to be felt on land. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Maybe that's what I'll search for. In the summer of 2025, the Ocean Cleanup plans citizen science expedition to map the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, an area twice, oh, I thought of New Jersey, twice the size of Texas.
Mm.
What?
It's really sad, Lou. Yeah.
The Mariana Arc Volcanic Exploration, Ocean Exploration Trust launched an expedition to survey the unexplored and tectonically active areas around the Mariana Trench. Coral bleaching, a high probability of high heat stress and coral bleaching is forecast in the tropical western Pacific. Sea anomalies. Elevated sea levels are expected to cross much of the western hemisphere and Pacific around the Hawaiian Islands. Wow, that's amazing. I want to learn about that garbage blob.
This video here is from 3 days ago.
Where on the globe do we have the strongest storm of 2025? Well, it's Super Typhoon Ragasa that is just off the Philippines. As of Sunday, September 21st, rated as a Category 5 with max wind speeds of 270 kilometers an hour. This has made it the strongest storm of 2025.
Wow, those look at that number. Crazy.
Right behind it, Hurricane Erin, that reached maximum wind speeds of 260 kilometers an hour and was just off the eastern seaboard of the United States. Now, heading into Monday, still expected to peak as it brushes just north of the Philippines, weakening slowly before it makes landfall in China as a Category 3 hurricane.
I read this morning that China has evacuated 400,000 people because of that.
Yeah, all this rain going on. Again, if you all, make sure you check out your weather apps on your phones, your iPads. That's why, again, there's a lot of tropical storm activity. That's why we might have rain until Tuesday. It might rain tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Have you guys ever gone to the National Hurricane Center site? We have two hurricanes, two tropical systems that are heading right at us right now. It's sort of weird.
This one, and then the what's this one? This one's older. No, this one. Yeah, Hurricane. This is 10 minutes ago.
Earlier in the week, Hurricane Gabrielle strengthened to a Category 4 hurricane. It's lost that umph as it reached areas of high wind shear. That's the strong winds in the upper atmosphere, and it can sort of shred those hurricanes apart. In its trajectory, it's expected to still be a Category 1 hurricane as it passes through the Azores Islands. As for Atlantic Canada, we could see high swells through the end of the week, courtesy of this system. Now, if it does pass through the Azores as a Category 1 hurricane, that'll be interesting because there's only been 3 hurricanes that have made landfall or moved through this area in the last 50 years. So that's certainly of note. Also of note, the National Hurricane Center is keeping an eye on tropical activity, 2 areas of concern, which could through early next week have impacts for the east coast of the U.S.
Right. See, I love.
Look at
see
that.
this
Oh
video
my gosh.
right here.
They're coming
I
to
love this video.
town. Look at that. Both of them.
For the
Yeah,
east coast
this video
of the
does a
U.S.
great
and
job. I
especially
love
areas
it.
of concern,
Isn't
which
that
could
amazing?
through early next week have impacts
Look at that.
for the east coast
Florida.
of the U.S. and especially places like Florida. So we'll keep an eye on that.
And even these, you see, there's a lot of tropical storm activity. It's the peak of hurricane season right now. So that's, make sure you all keep that weather app handy.
It's been a long time since we had a hurricane hit up here.
Oh yeah, it's been a very, very, very long time.
I
That's just
remember when we
good.
first moved here in 2003, there was a hurricane that hit. Remember that one?
What was that called? Is that no, Katrina was what hit New Orleans. What was the name of that thing?
What was that one? It was just, remember there was a Category 5 and it was heading towards DC, and then it went a little bit south and we lost power for like 7 days.
Oh, what was that thing?
Was it Andrew?
No, that was in Florida.
Was that the-
That's before my time, so
I'm gonna Google it right now. What hurricane hit
Yeah.
Hey,
So while we do that, let's look at this last video for today before trivia. Have you all ever heard of Point Nemo before?
No,
Anyone's heard of Point Nemo?
nope.
All right, Point Nemo, a spacecraft cemetery. Let's take a look. This is
what?
very interesting.
Point Nemo, a spacecraft cemetery that's 2 miles under the Pacific Ocean. Point Nemo, the most remote location on Earth, makes the perfect place to bin a spaceship. Named after Jules Verne's seagoing captain and less catchily known as the Oceanic Point of Inaccessibility, is way out in the Pacific, 1,400 miles from a shoreline. It's accepted many a dramatic splashdown from the world space agencies. Buried under more than 2 miles of water is the Soviet-era Mir space station. More than 140 Russian resupply vehicles, several of the European Space Agency's cargo ships, and even a SpaceX rocket, according to Smithsonian.com. When Russia's iconic and enormous Mir space station hit the water in 2001, the spacecraft cemetery became its final resting place. The star going right off didn't exactly land gracefully. For starters, ultra-hot temperatures on re-entry tend to eat through even the toughest materials. Smithsonian Magazine notes, while the original craft weighed 143 tons, only around 20 tons made it to the Pacific.
So like 120 of it, so like 80-90% of it burned up in the atmosphere. But it's still there's still some that reaches the Earth's surface.
According to Gizmodo, writing in 2015, what's left split into approximately 6 pieces. Russia has the greatest volume of deceased craft in the drink, around 200 items of galactic debris, as reported by Popular Science back in 2016. However, with the heavens proving an increasingly crowded place, it's all relative when the space race is concerned. The next heavy hitter to reach Point Nemo will be the International Space Station, with 2028 an estimated time of arrival.
Yeah, you all know the International Space Station is going to come down eventually, right? Did y'all ever thought of that? It's going to be put or projected towards Point Nemo, International Space Station.
And of course, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. ISS won't be carrying its full 500 tons, but it may give local marine life something to worry about. What else is down there, spread across thousands of kilometers? Popular Science refers to spy satellites. Those smaller objects like this are typically consumed by fire, and fuel tanks, together with hundreds of cargo ships for astronauts. On a science fiction tinge note, Gizmodo mentions robotic freighters. At a depth of 2.5 miles, the spacecraft cemetery appears to have plots ready for all. The astronomical operation has been running since 1971. This fantastical starship junkyard is actually surprisingly practical. And perhaps the ultimate expression of an old saying, what goes up must come down, gravitational forces ensure everything shot into space winds up coming back home eventually, whether people like it or not. So plans must be made for craft and other items to land as far away from human life as possible. Is Point Nemo completely deserted? Gizmodo describes shipping in this vicinity as relatively light. It's down to maritime authorities to let anyone in the area know what's potentially in store. How is such a feat of falling achieved in the first place? Gizmodo details the procedure. The relevant country informs Chile and New Zealand about the latest arrivals several days in advance.
I think we'll just end it right here. But isn't that amazing? Point Nemo, the spacecraft cemetery, that's where the International Space Station will be. That's where a lot of satellites and other things that have been put in space are directed towards on Earth. Because as you can see, it's the furthest point from land anywhere around it. So that way the impact to human life is the smallest.
Wow.
Point Nemo.
Hey, by the way, guys, it was Hurricane Isabel, 2003. Hurricane Isabel.
Yeah, I knew it was some kind of lady's name.
Yeah.
That was like a queen or something. I could not think of what that was.
And we lost power for a week.
Yes, we did.
Any thoughts on Point Nemo on the video? What did you learn? Have you ever heard of Point Nemo?
No. But it makes sense they have a garbage dump that they can put that stuff in.
Yeah, we could call it a garbage dump. It's literally just the point of the ocean where it's like middle of nowhere, basically.
Mm-hmm.
and it's still there. Once the International Space Station comes down in this area, who knows, they may go in and grab some of those parts or pieces and study them, you know?
I wonder if it's radioactive too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, point
That's
Nemo,
a good. That's
point
a
of no
good.
return. I bet there's a lot of crazy things that go on.
Mhm.
But yes, thank you all so much. Today we went over the Mariana Trench, how deep the ocean is. We learned about the importance of the Pacific Ocean. We took some recent events and things going on there. We learned about the recent hurricanes. So let's see if we can get our thinking caps on. So we're just gonna have a fun trivia for today. So please unmute and let's see how many of these we can get right. All right. Thank you for your patience. One moment. Thank you all so much. All right. So our first question for today is, who named the Pacific Ocean? Was it Ferdinand Magellan, James Cook, or Charles Darwin?
Probably Magellan.
Magellan.
Okay, Magellan, any other takers?
I say
Magellan.
I say Magellan.
Good job. From Magellan, whose fleet was the first to completely circumnavigate the globe in 1522. Unfortunately, Magellan himself was killed during a tussle among warring tribes in the Philippines, so he didn't live to see the tremendous voyage to its finish. Wow, so the man didn't even finish the thing. He got killed. That's sad. Good job. What percentage of the Earth's surface does the Pacific cover? A quarter, a third, or half?
Oh, I can't remember what that said.
So again, percentage of the Earth's surface does the Pacific.
It said a third.
Third.
1/3.
Okay, I hear a third. Any other answers?
What else is there?
A quarter and a half.
I'll say a half.
A half.
Okay, we got 2 for half. We got 1 for third. Any other takers?
I'll go with I'd say maybe a half.
It said 1/3.
I know. I hear more halves, but I got you, Yvonne. Let's see what it says for the half. Nope, it's a third. The Pacific Ocean covers a third of the Earth's surface. Know what else covers about around a third of the planet? All the land. So that's a really easy way to think about it. You have the Pacific, which is a third. You have the land, which is about a third, and you have the rest of the oceans as a third. So that's how big the Pacific Ocean is. Always remember that. Isn't that a cool trick, Lou? Third of the Earth is land, third of the Earth is the Pacific, third of the Earth is all the other oceans. Real easy. How many islands are in the Pacific? 5,000, 15,000, or about 25,000?
25,000.
25,000.
I remember.
Yeah, I heard a lot more voices for that one, and you all are right.
Yeah, we remember that.
There are about 25,000 islands in the Pacific. That's more than all the other oceans have put together. So again, the Pacific surface is, it's amazing. How salty is the Pacific? Less or more or about the same as the Atlantic?
Less
Less.
salty.
Okay, anyone else for less?
Less salty.
I say less.
Are correct. While salinity levels fluctuate across the world's oceans, overall the Pacific is generally less salty than its neighbor, the Atlantic. Good job. How deep is the deepest point in the Pacific Ocean? About 3 miles, 5 miles, or 7 miles deep?
7.
7.
7 miles.
And you all are correct. The average depth of the Pacific is around 3 miles. At the deepest point in all the world's oceans, the Mariana Trench, the ocean floor plunges nearly 7 miles below the surface.
Yeah.
I know, that's a lot. How often does El Nino occur? About 2 to 7 years, about every 5 to 10 years, or about every 7 to 12 years? El Nino. So those storms, La Nina and El Nino. We mentioned those a bit.
2 to 7.
Okay, anyone else for 2 to 7? El Nino. Going once, going twice. And you are correct. It's originally referred to as a phenomenon of warmer than usual waters off the Peruvian coast, but is just now recognized as a temporary shift in global climate patterns. So this happens around every 2 to 7 years. How much of the world's coral reefs are found in the Pacific Ocean? More than 60, 75, or 90%?
That way, Patrick.
90.
And you might have to take the poll.
Coral reefs, okay.
They've evaporated.
Okay, we got to keep the mics in mind, folks, okay? Thank you so much. 60, 75, or more than 90%? This is an interesting question. What do you think, Lou?
Oh, I'm sorry. I had to jump on something else. Let me.
How much of the world's coral reefs are in the Pacific? 60, 75, or 90%?
Oh, I'll say 75.
Yeah, I'll say 75 too.
That's a wild guess.
Yeah, wild guess. Okay, well, let's go with your answer, Lou and Brenda. You all are correct. If you're looking for coral, the Pacific is the place to go. More than 75% of the ocean's coral reefs are found there, but no climate change. They're very delicate, so they're dying out at a disturbingly rapid rate. So we got to save the coral reefs. All right, okay, a few more. We have a minute or two. How many of the world's volcanoes are located along the renowned Ring of Fire? Around 40, 60, or 80% of the world's volcanoes?
80.
80%.
80.
You all are correct. The Ring of Fire contains around 80% of the world's terrestrial volcanoes. Isn't that amazing to think about that area right there? Wow. There's lots of underwater action too. In 93, scientists found an area the size of New York.
Oh, by the way, let me just throw a little piece of trivia. It sort of makes sense that they would be there, though, and here's why. We learned last week with the Atlantic that the Earth is spreading apart in the middle of the mid-Atlantic trench. It's splitting apart. So where is the land going if it's splitting apart in the middle? Well, on the opposite side of the Earth, it's got to be what's called subducting. It's got to be going under. We're losing land on the other side if we're gaining land in the Atlantic. And volcanoes occur when the continents subduct, when they go underneath each other. And so no wonder they're there, right? Because that's where we're losing continental plates. They're getting sucked back into the mantle on the opposite side, which is in the Pacific Ocean. All right, thanks.
Oh, I love that, Lou. That makes all the sense. Could the Pacific ever run out of fish? Not possible, it's hard to say, or get ready to say goodbye to your fish sticks.
Hard to say.
Hard to say.
It's hard to say.
I agree. Let's see. Yes, it's hard to say. Some fisheries have been overfished or right up to the sustainable limit at one time or another. So anchovies, herring, pollock, sardines, it's a very challenging to kind of determine what's sustainable and not. The world of the ocean is so big. So this one's, how big is the Great Pacific?
Oh, we know this one.
Comparable to Texas.
It's twice the size of Texas.
Twice the size of Texas.
Maybe it's Alaska.
Twice the size.
Oh, twice the size of Texas. So
comparable to Maine, Alaska, or Texas?
Texas.
It's twice the size of Texas.
So Maine or Alaska?
It could be Texas. I mean, this is a different website.
So it has to be comparable to Alaska if it's twice the size.
We'll see. We just got to think about the sizes. So let's go with Alaska and see what happens.
It's twice the size of.
Alaska.
Comparable.
Yeah.
Well, we said twice the size.
Of Texas. I wrote it down.
I know. No. It's the way that it was worded. Okay. So we thought twice. We were right. So that's why it's always important to read through each question and answer and all that good stuff. So it's usually compared to the size of Texas. Yes, the estimates tend to range. It's the same size as a Lone Star State to twice that expanse. Because it's always changing too. There's more garbage being put there every day. There's garbage being removed, added, moved around from other places. So it can be kind of tough, but I hope it's
Okay,
comparable.
so
Nothing.
and this is where different websites have different information. I just Googled it, and guess what it says?
What?
It says Alaska is twice the size of Texas.
Yeah, that's what
So
we
we
were
were right, Alex. We were right.
We
Get rid
were
of this.
right. We were right both
Well,
ways.
it's true.
Both
We
ways.
were not wrong. So it's just you got to look at things in different ways. So I think it's so important. So, well, I appreciate you all so much. I hope you all learned a lot, and thank you so much to Lou for hosting. And we'll have module 4 in just a minute. But this basically concludes our ocean session. But I think we'll just have a overall review of the world ocean next week. So on October 1st, we'll be doing a world ocean session to close out our oceans. So I hope you all have enjoyed.
All right, thanks a lot. I learned so much. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Lou. You know, you traveled way more than me, so we appreciate your knowledge.
I don't know about that, but thank you. It was great to be here with you all.
All right, Lou. Well, everyone, I'll see you all soon, but let's think about the Pacific Ocean today.
All right, everybody.
Thank you, Lou.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank
Thanks
you,
a
Lou.
lot.
Thanks, Lou.
Thank you, everyone, so much. Hope you enjoyed the content and the trivia today.
Absolutely.
My pleasure, y'all. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Time for a nap now.